Hi. Hope you're having a good day and a good weekend. How are you? How are things going for you? It rained here. It's been raining here all weekend. It's typically what it does in the Northwest anyway. But it's been really hot. It's still hot. It's muggy. It's that ugly, sweaty, muggy hot. And we don't usually get that here in the Northwest. You people in the South, you're used to that, but not here. We don't normally get that. But it's still kind of warm, but it's raining. So that's cool. Definite. I don't normally say that because we pretty much get 9 months of rain every year here. And then we get 1 month of like slightly decent weather, and then we get 2 months of like really hot weather. And then, yeah, it pretty much rains the rest of the year. It's what it is. That's why it's so green here. It always cracks me up when people move to the Northwest and they complain about it raining. It's like, yeah, you moved here because it's green, right? You like the greenery. You like how things are alive here. Well, that's the reason why it rains here. You Californians, please remember that before you pack up your shit and move northward like you guys have been doing in your droves for the past 40 years. Just keep that in mind, all right? It's green here for a reason. It rains. Today I'm talking about something that I'm sure hardly any of you will have any interest in, and I'll probably get 4 views on this, but I don't care because I was listening to these records this morning and I love this compilation. I love the guy who put them together, and I want to talk about them. That is Richard Fearless of Death in Vegas and his Bureau B collection. He put these out, or Bureau, I guess I should say Bureau B put these out, but Richard Fearless put together a 25 track, 3 album compilation set of old 70s Krautrock, basically. A lot of Krautrock, just stuff in that world. Lots of early ambient stuff. And it's a great start to getting into Krautrock. If you're trying to get into that, I can't think of many compilations that would be better. And it also serves as a very interesting look at what Richard Fearless is interested in and inspires him, because you can hear this music in his own music. But this is a great compilation, man. There are 3 of these. They all have similar covers. I'll show them to you. And I just looked these up. These are on Apple Music. All 3 of these records are compiled into one Apple Music album. So don't think you have to try to find these if you're interested in these. I think you should be interested in these. These are all put together as one. Here's part B. It's A, B, and C. All parts A, B, and C are compiled into one release on Apple Music, and it sounds good. I was thinking about ripping these into my digital files, but it was like, why would I? These sound pretty phenomenal on Apple Music. Maybe even better than what I could do with these records. And here's part C. And this will probably be a fairly brief video because, yeah, I don't think I shouldn't say any. I don't think many of you will watch this. But if you're into experimental music, and I know that most of you are, and you haven't quite delved into the depths, like the origins, the roots of where that sound comes from, this is one of those roots, this kind of music. Krautrock. Groups like people in groups like Moebius and Faust. I'll just name off the bands here. Phantom Band, Gunther Schickert, Faust, Augenweid, Reichmann, Ausmus Teichens, The 39 Clocks, Der Plan, Solyst, and Moebius Planck Neumayer. And I'm not German. I'm sorry, I don't speak German. I'm probably totally butchering those names. But Moebius is a name you should know. Cluster is a name you should absolutely know. And Faust. And you might know those names. Those are the more common Krautrock names. The rest of these are pretty deep dives. And when I did my spiritualized video a few days ago, or yesterday, God, yeah, yesterday, I was talking about that Richard Fearless mix, come together, and this is what sort of made me think of this stuff. And even his remix on that Spiritualized record, you can hear harks back to this. Very minimal, very repetitive. I don't mean repetitive in a bad way. I mean, those of you who like Can and Yaki Liebezeit's drumming, you know what I mean when I say repetitive. It doesn't mean a bad thing. If you can get a drummer like Liebezeit who can play like a human fucking metronome for hours at a time, it's pretty inspiring stuff. And you find a lot of that here. A lot of this is electronic stuff. Not all of it, but a lot of it is. If you have any interest in electronic music in any of its forms and you want to know about the roots of it, look no further than this. I mean, Kraftwerk obviously, but they were more of a pop band. If you want to really delve into the more experimental stuff, the more left of center stuff, you should try this. Check these compilations out. This part B, the second part, this has Moebius and Beerbaum, Moebius, Thomas Dinger, Moebius again, Gregor Schnitzler, and Kreidler. My favorite song on this entire compilation out of all three of these records is the Moebius and Beerbaum track, the Doppelschnitt. Doppelschnitt. It's like a 22-minute mood, a 22-minute journey, a song that you just sit back and you let it carry you away. My favorite kind of music. This is music that it's an atmosphere. It's music, yes, but it's not interested in directing you in any one path. I really adore music that does that. It's music that just lets you shift it into whatever you need it to be in your life. If you're in a bad mood, you can take this music and morph it into something that makes sense in your bad mood. If you're in a good mood, you can do the same thing. It's mood music, atmospheres, environmental music. That's what I love about this stuff. I love music where you have to stop and think about what it means to you in your life. And that's why I gravitate mainly toward instrumental music in general. And when music does have lyrics and vocals, I tend to go for the lyrics and vocals that don't make a lot of sense, really, or could mean anything. They're not very direct. That's why I love bands like Wire, for example. Wire's lyrics have many different meanings, and I am attracted to music like that. Music like this, it's whatever you need it to be on any day, on any occasion of your life. And never more so than Moebius and Beerbaum track, Doppelschnitt. Sorry, I had to look at that track title again. I don't really pay attention to track titles, honestly. I just listen to the music. I don't care what the song titles are. I almost prefer to not know what they are. Sort of playing into my idea of not wanting music to hold my hand. I think song titles will do that too. I want music to be as abstract as possible because I want the music to respect my intelligence, if that makes sense. I want to take away what I want to take away from it. I want the artist to put it up on the canvas and then I have to experience it and figure it out on my own. There's no music better for that than this. This might be, of the three, this is probably my favorite just because of that Doppelschnitt track. On this last one, part C, Cluster. Cluster and Roedelius, and those are probably Cluster, Roedelius, and Moebius. Those are probably the most popular acts of this trio of records, I would think. And Faust. Cluster, Roedelius, Cluster again with a Q, Phantom Band, Pyrolator, Automat, Roedelius, Moebius, and Renzenhausen, and Faust. I would think that most of you probably have heard of Faust. They're amazing. Were amazing. Just a fantastic trio of records. And check it out on Apple Music. These sound really good. I have no complaints. The music that the sound quality that Apple Music is putting out with all of their releases, it's phenomenal. High res, sounds incredible. I've listened to it at home, on my earphones, in my car. It sounds amazing anywhere. It sounds every bit as good as my high-powered vinyl setup that I have here in the house. Here's the trio. I have a setup here in my home where I have tweaked and upgraded and interpolated all kinds of different variations of my sound setup so I can have the records sound the way I want. And then I go to Apple Music and I listen I listen to the same things there and I'm like, "Oh, okay. Maybe none of that was even necessary." I love it though. I would rather pay 13 bucks a month to Apple and have all this music than carry around all these fucking records. Seriously. I'm at a point in my life where I am sick of looking at records. I love them, don't get me wrong. And I will always have some of them. But those of you with records, you know what I'm talking about. They're a fucking pain in the ass. Moving them and storing them and caring for them, it takes entirely too much time, man. I'm at a point where I'm just almost done with them. Like, out. I want them all gone. Get them out of my sight. They're making me sick. That's another video. And a couple of you have asked me to do a video about that, by the way, about vinyl collectors. And I might do that because, yeah, vinyl collectors. There's a documentary on YouTube. I saw it in the theater years ago. It's just called Vinyl. And this dude, he filmed it. He started filming it in the late '80s, and he continued to film it through the '90s. And it's about vinyl collectors and how it can take over some people's mind. And it's a complete and utter obsession with some people. I definitely have moments like that where I look at my records and I'm like, what am I doing? Maybe I have an obsession and I need to throttle it. I definitely feel that sometimes. I have too many records. That's what I'm trying to say. Here are 3 of those records. Well, here's 1, but I'm talking about 3. Check these out. If you're into electronic music or just experimental music in any way, shape, or form, I would highly recommend you check these out. In particular, Moebius, Cluster, and Roedelius, and Faust. You can't go wrong with those bands. Everything they put out is absolutely worth listening to. It's really fun, hasn't aged. When you can listen to a record that's 50 plus years old and it still sounds fresh, you know you're listening to something that was really special. Sometimes I hear these records and I'm like, God, I wish I had been old enough to hear this when it was new. This stuff sounds incredible now. I can't imagine what people were thinking back in the late 60s, early 70s. Just really groundbreaking music. And that's the kind of music that doesn't get noticed at the time it comes out. It's happening right now. Somebody somewhere is releasing records and no one's paying attention to it. In another 10 or 20 years, we're all going to freak out over it and be like, oh, yeah, I got that when it was new. Yeah. I heard it. I loved it then. No, we didn't. No one was paying attention to it. That's the fun of music. You feel proud of yourself when you find something that ends up gaining steam over the tests of time and people start loving it later. And you can stand back and say, I loved it right when it came out. There are definitely plenty of bands where I totally zoned out on them and didn't check them out. I'll admit it too. Like, I did a video last week about Front 242, the Tyranny for You album. I didn't really listen to that when it first came out. Now I listen to it, I'm like, oh, shit, what was I missing? That's on me. That's not the music's fault, that's my fault. Anyway, don't let this pass you by anymore. Richard Fearless is presenting this to you for your enjoyment and your education. I would highly recommend you listen to this trio of albums. There you go. Thanks for watching, as always. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.